In this video, we are going to discuss about how we can use NetBeans Maven projects. We are going to set up Maven projects in NetBeans so that we can develop the projects in our computer. But as soon as we say clean and build, it's going to deploy the jar file to the Raspberry Pi that is remotely connected to our system. So again, this is just a way of using NetBeans in our computer instead of a Raspberry Pi. And there is a big advantage, as I see here, is first of all, if you try to run NetBeans in Raspberry Pi, it's going to be very slow. Secondly, is you're not taking the micro SD card memory space because you do not need to install NetBeans in the Raspberry Pi. You are just sending it via SSH, and we are going to discuss more about this later on, but that's what we need to do. We did the same kind of video before using Ant application, Java Ant applications in NetBeans. And the way that we did it is different from what we need to do for Maven. Maven, we are going to basically, instead of set up using like the menus that the NetBeans has and things like that, what we are going to do, we are going to go for the POM file. And we are going to discuss more about the pom.xml file that Maven has. We are going to set up those POM files to do this kind of a connection for us. So it's a little different from what we have studied before. So let's go for this. So what we need to do is we're going to basically just giving an overall view here of the next videos that we are going to discuss about this topic. Is the first one, what we need to do. We need to create a NetBeans Maven program, right? And then we need to create a SSH key, is a security key, so we can send the jar file. NetBeans can directly send the jar file to the remote Raspberry Pi. And the way that we are going to do, we are going to create a SSH key such that you do not need password all the time that you clean and build your project. So we are going to discuss how to do that too. Then we are going to modify NetBeans the POM file so that we can do that connection that we haven't done it yet. The first one, we are just creating a regular Maven program, so you know how to do it, how to create it, and how to run it in your local machine. And later on, we are going to use adaptation of that program to run in your Raspberry Pi. So we are going to do this. We are going to modify. So we are going to update the POM file as it says here. And then with the clean and build option, what we are going to do, it's going to create a jar file directly in your Raspberry Pi. There is the option for running, right? NetBeans has that green button that you click to run. I'm still struggling on this part. I tried like 20 different ways of implementing that. I checked the ChatGPT like for hours and hours. I discussed with ChatGPT. I went to some Java forums on how to do it, and every single option looked like I'm getting closer and closer, but I could not. I at some point I could run, but when I was able to run, because I changed the POM file, I could not deploy anymore the Java as I was deploying before. So you need to deploy the jar file first and then run. I could run just if was already there, and I tried for multiple days and nothing. So I will really appreciate if someone knows how to do it, just a look at my project and try to not just give me the words, do this, do that, because I tell you, I've been trying to follow people doing it, and one solution requires another things, another setup that requires another setup, and it's like a chain of setups that at some point I got completely lost. So again, the run part, I'm doing differently. I just open a terminal window and I just say Java -jar and run the jar file So I can do this in the Raspberry Pi VNC viewer with no problem whatsoever. So it would be nice to have this option in NetBeans running, but it's not running at the moment. And then we are going to try to make a simple program in Maven, and then try to deploy and try to run and see if the Maven program, when you get the output, see if it runs as expected. All right. So that's what we're going to do. First of all, what we're going to do is you are going to notice that when we get there, but I first, let's put, how can I put this way? The time frame, how was the time here? I create a Maven, and then I updated to deploy. And then when I was going to deploy, I realized that the POM file that I have changed has the remote address that is in my case, and from previous videos, is Paulo at 192.168.1.1.4 for the Raspberry Pi. And I noticed that from the solutions that I saw in the internet, I just provide the IP address, but I never provide the password. So I start wondering, how can my machine connect to another machine that requires password and I don't have it in my POM file, right? So I made a lot of research on that, and there is a way that you can create a SSH security key that is when you create that once in your computer and then you transfer some files to your Raspberry Pi, you do not need any more password. You can just SSH to that machine remotely without the need of the password, but you need to create that security key in the way that I'm describing here. So the chronological order that I did, I create the Maven file first and so, and then I realized this problem, but here we are going to do different. I'm going to attack the key first, and then we can move for the POM file itself. So setting the SSH security key. So what we are going to do is key-based authentication that is we are going to use instead of passwords in order to SSH into a remote machine, in our case, the Raspberry Pi. Doing this way, they say that it's more secure, so you don't need to keep passing around passwords, so it's a more secured and more convenient, because every time that you're going to your Raspberry Pi, you don't need to keep typing all the time your password. So this is convenient, and it also saves times for the same reason, right? And the other thing is automate tasks, and is what we are going to do, right? NetBeans is like automation. When I say clean and build, it's going to send that thing. So I don't need even to type SSH, it will be in the POM file, so everything will be automated. So that's the biggest reason for us to go through this exercise right now. So what we are going to do, we are going to follow a video, a very nice video. I think I put somewhere here, but I'm going to say the video itself in YouTube, basically it split the video in two windows, and the two terminal windows are from your computer, all right? Even though sometimes the window will show things from the Raspberry Pi, in my case, the two windows will be your terminal window from Windows, right? We call PowerShell, I think it's Windows 11, maybe Windows 10 has this, but it's what they call PowerShell. In the left terminal window, we are going to display our local machine. And the right window, we are going to SSH for the Raspberry Pi, because we need to do some changes there in the Raspberry Pi side too. And so we are going to do in this right terminal window. And I said there is an excellent video about that was created by Corey Schaffer. And here is the YouTube page that where you can find it. And I'm following this, exactly the same thing that he has done. And why I'm doing, just because I don't want to put the link here for you to go there, just go here, and it's the same thing. So I truly believe I'm giving him the credits here. So thank you very much. And I already make a note in his page about this, saying that it was a great video. So let's go for that. So I'm going to just give you the steps, and then we are going to really do it by hand, do a hands-on here. But basically, we are going to create two terminal windows. So there is what I call left window and the right window. The left is going to be your computer, and then the right one will be showing things in your Raspberry Pi. But both of them is in your computer terminal window or command window. Okay, so what we're going to do, we are going to create what we call a private key that is going to stay in your computer, right? And there will be a public key. And the public key is the one that you're going to copy to the remote machine. And with the private key and the public key, the two machines will be connecting via SSH without the need of the password. So how do we create those keys? So the way that you create it is, first of all, you're going to, in a terminal window in Windows, in my case, you are going to use that SSH dash keygen, and then you have -T, RSA-B, and 4096. This first one is just the program that will generate that key. The second parameter here is the option that you define what kind of a key you want to generate. So we want a RSA type key. And there are other ones, but we are using that one. The -B and the number here is just how do they say, secure you want to have. You can have 2046 or some 48. That is the other binary value that you can put there. But they say that this is 4096 is a little more secure, and it's just a number. So why not? Let's put a bigger one right there. And then when you run this, it's going to ask you where you want to save those keys that is going to generate. It's just files, text files. And you just hit enter. It's going to save in a default location, and we are going to see where it is. And if it is asking if you want a passphrase. And again, you can do that in the case like if you imagine that in the computer that you're using, more people are going to use, and you don't want these other people to go to that other machine, the remote machine, then you might need to consider creating a passphrase or not. It's up to you. In my case, I'm the only one using this machine, so I don't have any problem. So I just left it blank. There is no problem in doing so. Then after you do that, it generates the key. It shows the prompts in the terminal window. And then we are going to see in a minute the examples like this. And then you just go to that directory where the keys are created. And the keys are created in this dot. There is a dot here. Is a hidden directory. So it's a .ssh. So you need to change directory from your home directory. So this is a tilde, then /.ssh. And if you list what you have there, you should have these two files here, the ID underscore RSA and the ID underscore RSA dot pub. And the pub is the one that we are going to transfer to the Raspberry Pi. Now, let's go to the other terminal window. We are going to SSH or log in to that Raspberry Pi. And again, throughout multiple videos, I told you that this is my Raspberry Pi. So this is my username and this is the address. And then for the first time, of course, we have not yet make this, is not working yet. So it requires to enter the password. And that's what we are trying to eliminate it. From in this video, try to the necessity of entering the password every single time that we SSH to some place, to some remote machine. So first of all, we want to check, because we want to check if this .ssh directory exists. If it doesn't exist, we need to create. If it exists, leave it is. There is no problem at all. Easiest way of doing that is in your terminal window, just say list, right? And tilde /.ssh. And if it says that I cannot find, it means that the directory doesn't exist. If it can find, you don't need to do anything else. But if it does not find, then it means that doesn't exist. So you're going to create using the command make dir, and then that the command there, and that's it. So you create that directory where we are going to put those two files there. No, not the two files, sorry, just the public file we are going to transfer to this directory. So now with that, we know that it exists in the Raspberry Pi, then we can copy it, that file. So go to the left terminal window again, and then in there, you are going to issue this command, scp, that is Secure Copy Protocol, if I'm not mistaken. And then you're going to give the file name, that is this one. And remember, we have cd to that directory, so you don't need to provide any path, just the file name, and then space. And then again, you need to provide this whole thing here. That is, what is the remote system that you want. Then colon, you see there are the two dots here, the colon. Then you're going to say /home /Paulo. And then what we are going to do is a .ssh, don't forget the dot. And then you need to provide a file name. Could be the same name as this one here, but I'm just following what I saw in the video. He decided to put a different name, and there is no matter. It could be banana.pub here, could be any name. It's just a simple name. It's just a name, all right? So what you do, you're going to copy it. So when you copy, again, we still don't have this set up yet. So it's going to ask you to enter the password. And then after you do that, you can go back here to the Raspberry Pi and then do a list again. Remember, the list probably will show something or nothing, but if you do it again now, you should see the uploaded underscore key.pub that you just copied. It should be now there. Now, what we want to do is this has a lot of characters. It's like a string, let's put this way, and we need to copy into another file. So the another file is what we call authorized keys. The authorized keys, it might be already there. And so what we are going to do, we are just appending a new key there to these authorized keys. So if there are like 11 already, you're appending the 11 plus 1, the 12 key there that you are putting there. So to do that, you want to just append. So the way to do it is in Linux, you're going to say cat, and cat is just get the contents of this file that has the keys, all these, I don't know, 64-bit or even more characters. That is the key, the encrypted key. And it's going to kind of a print. It's going to show you. But when it's going to show you, you are diverting it from the terminal window to this file here. When you have two brackets like this, angle brackets, it means that it's going to append to this file authorized keys, whatever you have there. If these authorized keys does not exist in the .ssh directory, it's going to be created. And if it exists, then it's going to just append. So either way, you're going to have this file after this process. All right. So if there is no file, the file is going to be created. And again, you can cat this file. So this is just a file. When you cat, you would see all the keys listed or have been authorized to be used in this Raspberry Pi system. All right. Now, what happened is for people to see some files or go to some directories in Linux, you need to remember that Linux it's more complex in terms of permissions. It's not everyone that can see everything that is in the hard disk, for example. Let's put this way. All right. So there are some permissions. The system admin has some permissions. You as a user has some permissions. Someone else as a user has another permissions, and so on. So you need to set some permissions So your system here, in our case, your computer, can look at these authorized keys. So what happened is you need to set some permissions, and the permissions that I want you to do is first is the directory where these files exist, the authorized keys file exists. You need to set it to 700. So we are going to change the mod to 700, and then you're going to give this, that is the directory. And after the directory, you want to do kind of the same thing for all the files inside that directory. So we are going to change the mod to 600 in that thing. That is, I mean, we could spend like an hour or so, maybe, discussing about the different numbers here. Could be 777, could be 444. There is a lot of things that we could do here, but I'm not, it's not the scope of this video, but this is what you need to do. Now we should be all set. We create the key, we send the public key to the Raspberry Pi, we set the permissions. Now let's try it. So what we're gonna do is try to log in without the password. So go back to your left terminal window and then just run the SSH, remember, like we did before. And if we hit enter before, we should get a prompt to enter the password. If you don't get the prompt, it means that you got it right, and it should be. So what I'm going to do very quickly, I'm going to stop this, and sorry about my voice. You have no idea. I got COVID in the middle of creating this video, so I'm still a little sick here. So let's go for here. So again, this is a regular command window from the Windows 11. I think this is what they call power. You see, Windows PowerShell. That's how they call. And I just renamed to computer and Raspberry for us to remember what they are here. So what we are going to do here. So the first thing we are going to do is ssh.keygen -trsa-p-498. So it's going to generate that thing. Where do you want to save it? And again, I'm going to save in this directory, so I'm going to use the default that they are suggesting. No passphrase, I don't need it. So enter again, I don't need it. And that's what you have it. So you get something like that. Now, if you go and change the directory, so if you go here and go to .ssh, and if you do a dir, you are going to see that these two files have been created. It's 10:30 p.m. on the Christmas day after, one day after the Christmas day. So what else? So we got everything as we needed, and then we need to copy those things to the Raspberry Pi. So we need to go first there to check if the directory is there, right? If it's already created. If not, we are going to create it. So 196.1.4, that will do the trick. Oh, I typed it wrong, so it's going to have a problem there. 92. Okay, then the password. So there you have it. Now, again, as I said, you should check if the directory exists. And it exists. You see, I'm listing the contents of this directory, and there is some content. So it means that the directory exists, and there is something already there. So we are all set. We don't need to create the directory itself. It should be there. There is no problem with that. Now, what we need to do is go back here and just copy that that file, the public file. So what you're going to do is the security copy protocol, and then we are going to say id sa.pub. And then where we are going to copy it is going to be Paulo 192.168.1.4. And then this is the remote location, right? The remote system. Now we need to say where inside that in the hard disk you want to put it there. So I want to put in home, Paulo, and you replace with whatever ID you have there, .ssh, .uploaded key.pub. So let's see if it goes through. And again, at this point, you should need to give the password. Okay, it should be there. So go back here and do a list again. So just use the up arrow if you want to get there. And you see that thing has been transferred. Now what we need to do is, there is no authorized keys, but it could be there. So what we want to do is we want to just appended the contents of this one here into this authorized. Since it doesn't have it, it's going to append it, but we will create it at the same time. So we are going to say cat and then .ssh that uploaded. And if you use the tab, it auto-completes. And then we are going to append. So that's the symbol for append. .ssh, and then we are going to authorize it is all right. So if we do it one more time, you're going to see that now we have the authorized keys. Even though this one could be anything, could be banana.pub, okay, could be any name. This one needs to be exact, this file needs to have this exactly name. So you cannot change, should be exactly like that. All right, so that's it. The last thing we need to do is, again, to access this directory from another computer or another user, let's put this way, you need to set some mods here, so or permissions. So we are going to change the mod 700 for that directory, and for the contents in that directory I want to put 600. So for all the contents, you need to use the star there or the asterisks. That's what you have right there. All right. And we should be ready to go. So here again, I am in my laptop or computer side, and I want to do again, just do a SSH. So Paulo at 192.168.1.4 and hit enter. And voila, you see I am in already in the Raspberry Pi without the need of providing my password all the time. And that's going to be very important when we have our Maven projects. We want to just clean and build, and the POM file will send the data or the jar file to the remote Raspberry Pi without the need of us specifying the password anymore. So that's what was very important for us to do so. And let's see what else. And that's it for now. We are going to keep doing this, the other videos now. The next one is going to be about, let me close this, let me close that. Where is the PowerPoint? Oops, just give a second here. Let me push this way again. And again, just putting here from, if you have any suggestions for improvement in this video, please do so. I have no problem with that. Just put a comment in the comment section there, and we go from there. I hope that everybody can benefit from your input on this. All right. Thank you very much, and see you in the next video.